Hey guys, my name's Blaine, and I am here to talk to you today about online gaming and how it affects education. This is going to be the introduction video for my seminar in our education class. And so first off, let's just start by looking at what are the problems with online gaming. The internet. It's kind of scary to have little kids on the internet. There's a lot of bad stuff on there, adult films, murdering, bad music, a lot of inappropriate things that kids can get their hands on. But without that problem, we kind of look at, well, it's lazy. They're not being active. They're not, and kind of take away Pokemon Go. Most of the app games or video games you're going to play, and I suppose you can throw Wii out of there too, you're not going to be doing a whole lot of physical activity, and I think this has a big impact on why people are so against, really, gaming in general. A big controversy right now is gaming considered even to be a sport? Because, in school we praise sports, we praise drama, we praise all these extracurriculars, and in today's world, especially in today's world with how involved the internet is, not only in school and with all of our lives, I mean, we have little computers in our pockets, we can Google anything at any point in time we want. Should gaming be considered a possible extracurricular activity? I think yes and no. I think it depends on the game. You have app games like Candy Crush, and I mentioned Pokemon Go, and you have stuff like Clash of Clans, and those games are pretty cool. There's not a whole lot that goes into them. They're app designed. You click on the app, you go in, and you automatically start doing whatever the game wants you to do. Candy Crush, it's kind of like a pattern thing, and if you guys remember Flappy Bird at all, that's kind of like almost like a pattern-y type of tapping thing. And, these can be helpful to little kids, but, then we kind of move on to, more like computer and console gaming, more online gaming, like Call of Duty, where you are playing against actual people in actual time that anywhere in the world. And when you start to get nitpicky at things, anything can be bad. Video gaming can be horrible for grades if you don't do it in moderation, and I really think that's a big thing. Anything's bad for you, and if you don't put it into moderation. Food, alcohol, in some states marijuana now. There's fluoride in water, so I mean, it's kind of a funny thought. Technically, if you drink too much water, you could poison yourself with fluoride. Realistically not going to happen, but it's a possibility. And that's kind of where we need to start looking at games. Well, maybe they're not the biggest thing to incorporate each other with now, but within the next 10 years, it's going to be a huge thing. A game I want to touch base on is League of Legends, and it's currently a very fast-growing e-game sport. It's been out for about 7 years now, and it's kind of becoming its own business in a way, like a business where I'd almost want to start comparing certain esports to the MLB, the NFL. There is a League of Legends pro player currently in South Korea, and he plays for a team called SK Telecom, and his name is Faker. And he currently makes more money this season than Peyton Manning made in his final season with the Denver Broncos, which I think we can all admit that's a pretty big price tag to put on someone's name. So where does that sit with e-gaming? Is e-gaming going to become this next huge, spiral with the way the internet's going? It seems fairly probable, and League of Legends, League of Legends in particular has not shown any sign of slowing down. Actually, they are increasing their player size, not only in people playing the game, but people watching their professional sports too. They're starting to bring in lots of sponsors, new fancy buildings they're playing in. There's English translators for foreign countries' pro teams, such as the Koreas or the LPL in China, and it's really an interesting thing. But then we stop and we kind of start asking ourselves, how do we adapt this into education? What does any of this have to do with education? And I think a big part of it is when most of us are I want to put that differently. Most of us between probably ages like all you could go all the way up to like 47, 48 when the first Nintendo came out to current, we've all had this experience with either game consoles, arcade games, and now it's kind of starting to hit the point where instead of playing this computer-based game where you can find hacks to beat the game or beat the bosses, you're playing against other people that have similar qualities that or have the same or similar qualities as you as a gamer or a person. And that's kind of like starting to move a thought process. What is public education about? And yes, it's about getting good test scores, and yes, it's about learning, but I think as teachers, one of the most important things we can admit to ourselves is not that we're necessarily babysitters, but we are in charge of raising a bunch of kids, and we have to be able to connect with these kids. We have to be able to be interested or have interests that they are interested in order to connect with them and better or make better quality of our time that we're spending with our students. And one thing I want to mention is Minecraft. And I feel like Minecraft is a very easy game you could implement into schools to connect with a lot of these people, because within the next 10 to 15 years, the internet's going to be something that none of us can foresee now. We have no idea what's going to happen. 20 years ago, what was a cell phone, you know? And I think the big issue with gaming right now is how should we implement it, or how should we teach our students about what it is. Is it helpful to them? Is it bad? Is it more like a disease? And in South Korea, they actually have a time limit that you can play online games, and if you overplay on that time limit, you get a citation or you get in trouble, because they were having a lot of issues with kids overplaying. And that probably is a problem here in America, more than not. And that's where moderation comes in. I feel like gaming in moderation is very, very helpful to a lot of students. There's a lot of benefits that come from it. In online gaming, generally you're facing someone in real time, so you're making real time, strategic decisions. You're working on your reflexes. I prefer to call it mechanics. Mechanics on a keyboard are the mechanics you would have on a controller or pad, or even a joystick if you want to go that far back. But I think mechanics and reflexes is a very interesting thing that a lot of people maybe necessarily don't really pay attention to when it comes to any type of gaming at all, really. And we can definitely look at some of the negatives as well. Overplaying, overeating, not getting enough exercise, sunlight, air, all of these things are important. And at the same time, we do prioritize things in our life. Some people prioritize online gaming over school. Some people prioritize online gaming over their job. And it's not everyone. And I think it's very, very stereotypical and unfair to categorize everyone in that in particular stereotype. The heavy, overweight World at Warcraft carrier or World at Warcraft character that even South Park implements to our generation is big, heavy, nerdy, antisocial, whereas online gaming, I almost feel, is a lot of the opposite. Yes, there are heavy gamers, just like there's heavy football players and there's skinny football players, just like there's heavy wrestlers and there's the 105-pound weight class you have in high school. There's a lot of different things, and a lot of that has to do with kids and puberty in general. And more or less I'm going into it from more of a high school perspective at this point, because that is my study of my degree. But I would also like to look at little kids, like what can they do or what helps them when it comes to implementing online gaming. How do they see it? Little kids are probably introduced to the stereotypical idea of big, heavy, nerdy, antisocial, they don't get enough air, they're always eating fatty, gross foods, drinking energy drinks and soda, and instead of implementing that thought into their head, why not take this amazing tool that is given to us and utilize it? And my little brother, who was going to school in Rapid City, and it was South Middle School, they had a program where you could run a Minecraft like game on it. Wasn't as in depth as Minecraft goes, and it definitely wasn't like a Minecraft graphics that you would recognize, but it was more or less the 3D first person builder, mining, chopping, destruction type of game that Minecraft is. And they were using it in their computer class as a reward for those students who had finished their work early. And so these students would play Minecraft all the time, and there was some question about whether they should be doing this in class or not, and they were talking about it, and they decided that it was honestly a great idea. The computer classes are more of an electoral. If you're an orchestra or band, you don't necessarily get to attend them in middle school, and when it came to the computer classes, they thought they could implement some art or some creativity into them that wasn't necessarily boring for students, and at the same time it kind of is starting to introduce them into other types of things that are in the world, other types of games, not just console or arcade games or the video games they have at home. There's computer games, and I think that's another category people really overlook is computer games. There's a lot of them. There's thousands and thousands of different types. Essentially, if there's a console game, more than likely it's on the computer. Yes, for Microsoft fans, that does include Halo, and it's amazing, really. These kids that are overweight and are the stereotypical gamer, they're not choosing to do so in moderation, or their family is choosing not to help them with the problem. And it's just like any other serious problem or serious illness. You have to take care of it, otherwise it's going to seriously impact your life. But that doesn't mean that everyone should be looked down upon or looked differently at because they enjoy doing different things. We're taught not to bully in high school. We're taught not to judge a book by its cover. That's the cliche everyone hears, and it's true. You play one online game and it can change you, or you're the same person after and you can walk away and never do it again, or you just instantly get addicted. And that's not the two types of categories. You have those people that get super addicted to games, and those are usually the ones you have that are having issues with moderation in the game. And yes, it's an issue, but on the same end, why do we need to ban out online gaming from schools? If you are abusing it, why not utilize that as a source, or almost a free, it'd more or less be like a free utensil that us teachers have to use. Hey, go home, play or build 2 houses and mine on your Minecraft account, come back to school tomorrow as an art homework project. I don't know. There's a lot of endless possibilities out there for online gaming. You can create your own as a teacher. There's a lot of programs out there that you can sign up for or put yourself in, like contests and stuff, that either games that you want to try and develop but you don't know how, or you can take classes and learn how to develop these games as teachers, and we can utilize stuff like that in class too. It doesn't matter if it's extremely complex like League of Legends or just a simple app that these 9th and 10th graders can put on their phone, and it's a way for you to communicate with them through the class. Put games on there, high scores, competitions. Kids love that type of stuff, and it's a good way to interact with them in class. And I don't know, I guess we'll just have to see where the internet and world takes us. Thanks for listening.